today's topic, I feel like, is not very, but kind of discombobulated because I'm not gonna lie, this week has been very discombobulated. So I'm trying to make sense of it all and trying to find like the aha in it. And there is, but it's also like they're both equally good and bad. So yeah. I'm tired. But we will continue. We will continue to fight. And that is that is what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about honesty. We're going to talk about vulnerability. We're going to talk about self-awareness. We're going to talk about not knowing anything. So, yeah, I'm not going to be reacting to anything, and it's just going to be me just yapping away. So, if you're getting ready to do some work of some kind, yeah, it's about to go down. Okay, so where do I even start? Originally, I wanted the topic to be about honesty. And I wanted to talk about honesty because the truth will set you beeping free, okay? And the truth hurts sometimes. But there is something about hitting rock bottom that will launch you to, success. That will and the unknown, the not knowing, and that's okay because there's so many opportunities in not knowing. So, as scary as it is, there's nothing wrong with not knowing, and in time you will know, and every day is a life lesson. I feel like that kid who's like, have you ever had a dream that he could, and then, yeah, I feel like that kid. But it's true. I'm glitching. My brain is like rewiring. So yeah, honesty is that girl. Honesty. Yeah, I don't know if I need to get into the nitty-gritty details of it because we all have things going on in our lives. I just, at the end of whatever happened in that situation that will later transpire and like transform into, and that leads to this and that leads to that. In the end of that moment, I was like, things would be so much easier if we were just honest with ourselves and honest about the situation that is happening. I don't know if anyone ever looks back and thinks like about a situation, and if they ever think back and like, if I just said it like this, if I just didn't hold back and just not say it with your whole chest, but like just say what really is on your mind, then I don't know, we'll get to our end result faster. I feel like, the whole entire issue is already like the knife has been struck. At this point, you can either pull it out and let it bleed out with everything that you got and that you have to say, or you can just keep twisting the knife and keep like I don't even know, like just keep prolonging it. And I guess that's like the human part of it. But sometimes I think back about it and I'm just like, if we were just honest about these things, maybe there will be less miscommunication and stuff like that. So, yep. But I guess if it was like that, then I feel like feelings, feelings take time, and we are all glitching in the moment, I guess. So, yeah, that it makes sense because we only know so much that we can only say so much, and it isn't until after the fact that we realize and then know, and then sometimes it I don't think it's ever too late to communicate it, but it's just like sometimes that time has passed, so there's no need really to bring it back up again. Like, what happened, and you can only move forward with trying to make it better. So, y'all, that happened, and yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. Having the time and space, even though it could have been done a little bit more efficiently, would it have been better? I guess not, if I'm being honest. Only because even though it was like rough and all that, I guess it would have been a little bit, it was a harder way to like, let it die down. But now we know. So, yeah. If it was like how I'm thinking about it, then it would be very much black and white. Yeah. But then again, sometimes this is what goes on in my brain. Sometimes you just need a straightforward, direct, here it is. And then other times we do need to call in for that, like that gray area, because we all work differently. And that is a battle and fight that we unconsciously do. We are not robots. And that's on period. We're all human. I guess this episode's about being human. Honestly, oh my god. Wow. I don't know how I do it, but I literally, what's going on in my brain is that I was thinking the topic, honesty, but then I was like, no, vulnerability. And then I was like, no, like, it's about not knowing. It's about being self-aware, but also like being okay with not knowing, because there's also beauty in not knowing too, but being open-minded and willing to learn and to like be excited about all the endless possibilities that you can go in. And for me personally, I also kind of wraps in and ties into like my therapy homework, which I have therapy tomorrow, but like I'm just thinking about like all these things and how it's like really like tying in and making this dish complete. But saying that, like, I guess that's part of being human, and all of this is like, human, and we are not robots. So it just makes it even more full circle in that, yeah, this sucks, but that's just the way we are, and that's just how things are. And you learn a lesson, you hit rock bottom, but there's only no other way but up. And I'm losing my train of thought, but going back to humans for the third time, going back to humans, people, the last thing that I left off with my therapist was that, like, do you care about society and stuff? And I was like, no, girl, no. I'm sick and tired. I'm done with people. But then I fool myself every time. But then after everything that is happening, this is all happening in like my personal life. Like there's no one like outside of this, but it's just so like, but if I think about it on the grand scale, I do care about society, and I do care about people. And I think that's one of the reasons why deep down in the core that I want to start up, this project again, or not even project, but this is gonna be like my video diary, my core of like figuring it all out and going from there. But it's even though I say I don't care about society, but really I actually do. And it's because I want people to like be more vulnerable and be okay with that, and be self-aware, but also be okay with not knowing, because I don't know either, and I just want it to be like a journey that we are all going through together. So it's beautiful, it's hard to get through, it's lonely, but there is some like there is a community out there. There is that little sliver of like, I really don't know, but I'm just gonna keep on going because there is something at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, it is the actual process of being on that journey. And what's that saying? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. There's something else in there, I forget how it goes, but like, yeah, you can like be like, well, this is where I want to be, but getting there is like really the main part of the game, and the adventure is all inside that part. So yeah, well, now I have something else to tell my therapist. Oh gosh, she is just gonna get an earload. But yeah, what was I talking about? Vulnerability. I ended off with, yeah, I guess that's human, and we're not robots. Like sometimes like things, sometimes you need things to be black and white, and then other times there is like a gray area. And yeah, okay, vulnerability, does that tie into it? I mean, everything ties into everything, so really, yeah, it does tie into it. But how do I make it tie into it? I mean, if you're, well, being honest, you will have to be vulnerable. You have to be like, hey, I'm gonna say this thing that could offend you, but this is actually how I'm feeling. And oh my god, it's a cardinal. And I just have to say it. Like, I don't know what another way, a nice way to put it. And correct me if I'm wrong. And I am aware that I'm gonna push your buttons, but like, I'm gonna communicate to you, this is my response, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I think. But yeah, and it would be even better if we can try to communicate that in these are my opinions and answers and my outlook on it. And when we communicate that, try to not project that as like, oh, I know that you are crazy, but in like, a way to make it for them to understand. I don't know. I can't find the answers to everything. I don't know what I'm even talking about right now. About how to approach in that way. Like, girl, I don't have a certificate in that. But yeah. Vulnerability. The things that go on in my brain. I really need to stop sitting by the window, but this is just a great spot to be. Yeah. I don't think it's a cardinal. I think it's a red house wren. It doesn't look like a cardinal. What if this whole time I was like, it's a cardinal, but really it wasn't? It was just a red house wren. Anyways, I feel like vulnerability is is scary. Back to, oh my gosh, this should be like an episode where like drink a sip of water or whatever whenever I repeat honesty, vulnerability, communication. Like, I should have a counting meter. I'm gonna do that. And yeah, it is not an easy thing to let down your guard, to put down those walls, to really shed yourself and bear yourself out there and being like, okay, fine, say it, tell me I'm wrong, you know? And it's hard because like you have so much, like, I don't know, what is that? I want to say armor. You know, you've been through so much, and you've been through so much that you've put up, like, you know, such a shield on you that, like, no one can tell me nothing. You can't say I'm wrong because I've been through this and I know that. But like the world today, it's not with the times. Like, you gotta, like, take it easy, man. It's not that serious. Or like, hey man, it is serious, but I don't know what I'm saying. But I mean, if you get the gist of what of what I am saying, yeah, it's a hard thing because people think, wow, my brain, as messed up as she is, she said, bam. Don't lose your train of thought, Karen. Okay, so I just thought, real quick, this is in relation to, but it is just even more like, oh my god, yes, that is beautiful. But like, oh god, what was I saying? I was saying, like, yeah, it's hard to, oh yes, put down your guard and all that stuff, vulnerability. Like, people tend to think of all of these things as a weakness, but it's not. It's our strength. And that again ties into, this is what makes us human. And that is like, I want to say that's our superpower as a collective whole. Like, we can assume and continue to think that we got it down and we know it and we are, like, you know, professionals and, you know, bada bing bada boom, like, yeah. But it's in that area of uncomfortable and being vulnerable that's where, like, some crazy, like, magic happens. And it gets confusing, but that's, like, I don't know, like, the part that makes it even more like, aha. Now that is the aha part. And then from then we can, like, you know, make a new path, if you will. So that way we don't keep repeating, oh my god. So that way we don't keep repeating the cycle. So that way we don't keep repeating history. And I love that the human in me is like, bam, I solved it. This is, this is how we save the world. It's part of it. But I think if we all allow ourselves to be like, let down your guard in the fact that you don't know everything, and that the heart is like, hey girl, I cannot see what is out there, but I can feel deep down that something's not right. And that is just so, oh my God, like it's so crazy. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I hope I am, because this is really like wowing me right now. Like, this is ridiculous. But yeah. Communication, awareness. I think awareness was next. Being self-aware. Yeah. Well, I feel like being self-aware, literally this whole entire time, I'm like having like 3 conversations where I'm like speaking and I'm hearing myself, and then I'm replying to what I'm saying and adding on to that, but then I'm also making connections in my head where I'm like, and this ties into that, but then that's not really this, and I don't know all the answers. So yeah, I saw something a little recently where this ties into it, but it's also kind of like interesting, I wonder why, on the internet saying, and I also don't know how long ago this is, but I should search it up. Let's see if I can. But I saw something on the internet saying that a lot of people, like 90% of people, are not self-aware, and stretch 80% of people are not. The internet is gonna be like, huh? Yes. The study was shared by an IO psychologist. She states that 95% of people think that they are self-aware, where in actuality only 10 to 15% really are self-aware. Thinks people who are self-aware better performance at work, getting more promotions, and more importantly, leading more efficiently. Yeah. So, a lot of people are not self-aware, and that is surprising, but also not surprising, because if you look at the world today, it's kind of like, well, what the beep? And you would think that they would think, but really they don't think. And that is all the reason, and all the more, and that's probably why people are like, ew, at like vulnerability and like, letting down your guard, or being honest, and not being open-minded. Yeah, because they're so like, well, I know this, and it's like, yeah, you know that, and that's all you know. So you need to be like, my brain, I do not know, but I'm willing to learn, and I know this about myself, and I know this about my world so far, but I know that there is more out there. So beautiful. We need to be more self-aware, people. We need to be more like, let's figure out what is happening within, and like figure out from there, letting down our own guard for ourselves, to be like, hey girl, is this really what you want? Is this really what you want to do? Or do you think this is what you want because other people are, or that's just what you see from other people and social media and stuff like that, you know? Like, is that genuinely like what your heart is speaking to? And she's like, you know, reaching towards? Or is that just like you gaslighting and convincing yourself, like, no, yeah, no, yeah. You know, because really, none of this had to be hard. None of this should have been hard. But we are making it hard for what reason? I don't know why. That is for the universe. That is some philosophical, psychological answer, and that's probably because like we are seeing too much with our physical eyes and not seeing with like our soul. So very, very cool, very, very interesting, and kind of sad, but also like, you know, beautiful, because we can get ourselves out of this. Immediately in my head, I just like pictured a bird coming out of a shell, but you know, like the little baby bird has to come out of its shell on its own, and as much as it's like, you know, like weak and not weak, she's strong, but like just, you know, frail looking, and like I feel like from most videos, I don't think I've ever seen anyone like really physically help the little bird out. Like, you're not going to crack the shell and be like, okay, now it's time to get out of here and get out into the real world. Like that little bird is going to come out on her own when she's ready, when she's like, okay, it's time. And, you know, she's vocalizing, she's like, cheep cheep, and not me acting like a bird. But yeah, I'm just like trying to visually paint what is like happening in my mind, but like that's us. As a, if we were to collectively just be like, hey, take your time, you'll get out there when you need to, break down the walls, your shell, and it's gonna be a little rough, but you know, in your own time you will be able to walk and stand on your own little 2 feet, and you know, your feathers will dry up, and you know, you'll be strutting down the whatever. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? Oh, not knowing. Today has been the theme of just not knowing, and also last night too. I think it was just also like, I don't know. I mean, like, I know this, but like I now thinking back at it, I'm thinking like I was definitely rushing into what I was like, okay, this is just gonna be the next thing. But like now I'm thinking about, as I was like marinating it in my body, I was just like thinking to myself like, but do I really want to do that? And I'm like, ugh, I feel like it's going against, you know, what I was saying on the outside, but and the inside is like kind of reflecting that same feeling as well. And actually, I don't know if this is what I want to do, but this is what I know, but I don't want to do what I know, even though I know that it would probably be, you know, quick and easy, but later down the line it would just be like, I don't know, like I already know and feel it like in the back of my head. I'm just like, girl, this is gonna be another waste of time. But I mean, at least you gain some monetary from it, but like, yeah, you'll have some monetary growth, but like money comes and goes. I like, it's still like me as a person, like, is still kind of stuck. So whether it's monetary growth, like there will be monetary growth anywhere, really. I think what I really am trying to look for is where I can grow as a person. So yeah, light bulb, ding ding ding. So now today, or last night, I was thinking like, trying tracking back to last night, I was thinking, oh my God, like, I already feel like I'm, I from the start of the new year, I was like, okay, back to square one because of this whole situation that's happening in my personal life. But yeah, so, and I was just feeling like so put back. And now I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, well, here's what we do know from the result of everything that has happened recently. We know that this person and environment is toxic, and we don't need to be here anymore. We're not growing. The roots are gonna rot at this point, and they have been. So it is just manifesting into everything is like really breaking down. So in the beginning, I was like, change, like, scary, but also like, but look at the bright side of it. Like, you cannot keep living in this condition. You've gone to the point where you've sat in your own ish for too long that you've gotten used to the stink. Girl, this is not healthy. You need to get out of there. You need to, like, visualize, romanticize the life that you deserve to live, and that you can live, and that other people are doing and living too. And it's not selfish of you, and it is your right to live the life that you deserve, and that is a loving life and a fun life and a happy life. And there will be hiccups and stuff, but don't let other people be the cause of that. Like, if you have, I don't know, like, there's control, and then there's things that just happen. So I feel like, and what you can't control is other people. So, like, oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought. It was just a beautiful speech for a second ago, and now I'm just like, bleh. What was I saying? Yeah. Anyways, being at the rock bottom again sucks. But hey, you can only go up, right? So I think I'm past that mind mountain hurdle of like, oh my God. And now I'm like, but what can you do? Get up, girl, dust the dirt off your shoulders, and fix your shirt, and let's keep it pushing. And not in a way of like, buckle yourself by the bootstraps and go, but in a loving way, like, but what else can you do, like, in a more curious and in a more like exciting way, and just being like, hey, I don't know where I'm gonna go from here, but let's try it at least, and who knows what could happen. So I'm at that point now, and that's why I'm like, there is beauty in not knowing, and it's scary, but back there in the past, girl, what I did see, what I went through, that was tough. That was even scarier. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of like what is that? I don't, there's it's not a specific meme, but it's like those thingies where it's like, yeah, I've been through things, I've seen stuff, but I'm a tough cookie, and yeah, I look messed up, but I'm proud that I got myself through it, with the power of, a community of, even if it's small, even if it's one person, even if it's just a single sibling, there is, like something, there's a wall to lean on when things are getting a little bit too rough. But yeah, I think with a little bit of like some type of support of that, and mostly like really just pulling out of thin air the energy that you have to really just put into yourself, and support and love that you really have to just like inject yourself with, to be like, you can do it. And don't put yourself down and like, I can't do it. Like, you can, you're here, you are the one who made it into that womb, you are the one who bursted into that ovary, you are the one who stayed in there for 9 months, you made it through the vaginal canal, you're out here, you're breathing, you wake up every day. So the least you can do is just like, try to be a little bit more optimistic and just be like, okay, I don't know, but here I go. And maybe that's the reason why people are like, ignorant is bliss. But in a way where you're like, hey, I know I don't know, but I'm gonna get to know. And we'll see what goes on from there. Instead of like, hey, I don't know that, and I'm gonna stay not knowing that because I'm gonna stay here. It's just like, really weird. But yes, in a positive way. Let's try to, think more positively. And then, that energy, like saying that out loud and like saying the process of everything that's in my head right now, all of that is really encouraging. Even it's a better feeling than being like, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck again, I'm just so like, that just does not make me feel good. Personally, I'm just that person who's like, I hate feeling this way, I hate feeling negative. Like, I just have to keep pushing forward. I don't know how. I will get over the slump. In the moment, if I'm feeling bad, I will feel bad. But there comes a point where I'm just like, ugh, I feel it and it's making my soul rot. Like, I need to start being like, yeah, I can. And that's where the Delulu is the Salulu, because the Delulu is the only thing that's juicing the soul, that's keeping me going, that's pumping my blood. So, yeah, it makes it a little bit more fun. And I don't know if what I said in this that has made any sense, but I've hoped that some part of it can be applied into you guys' day or whenever you're listening. And yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm going here in this episode. Life, it is beautiful. It has its ups and downs. But, when we are self-aware and when we like take a good look at those moments and really like, okay, and really like, savor it, swallow it, and ready to just like burp it out, like, let's keep going. That's the fun of it all. And yeah, and that's why I do care about society. I do care about I care about people. But the way that we have been programmed is it's really tough, and there's too many of us that it's beginning to get a little bit too dense. And we are already in the 3D. We are already in the third dimension. It's already pretty dense here. Like, things are physically real. That's how dense it is. So how do we move forward and past that and weave our way? I'm only one person. We're only one people, but if we come together in that mindset, I think we can, as a collective, definitely advance. I love how I'm like, in the beginning, I'm like, honesty, and now I'm like, in the collective, we're gonna advance, and then we'll be in the 4D intergalactic whatever, blah 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 blah. I'm crazy, you guys. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is I will turn it and make it into something. I will take something out of thin air and I will turn it into the physical. And that is also why that is also why the souls, the spirits, that is why we are here in this 3D world, because we get to experience this. We get to pull things out of thin air and make it into something real. We get to pull things out of our brain, our imagination. From where it's coming from, we don't know, but it's just like accumulating. It's like that scene from Willy Wonka, the Johnny Depp version, where in that TV scene he was saying like, oh, it's taking all the atoms that's in this room and it's gonna make everything into the little piece of chocolate. That and that is why we are here, because we all have something special to give, to bring to this world, whether it is actually something physical or not. Even the idea of it is somewhat tangible. That is beautiful. Yeah. Well, we are in the 40-minute mark. I don't want to make this too long because it's going to take too long to upload, because, you know, the internet be interneting. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good week, or a somewhat, you know, eventful week, or a peaceful week, a restful week, whatever applies to you, because period, everyone is on their own journey, but together we're right where we need to be. Way to turn things around. Wow, I really know how to flip it. Okay, so that's it. I hope I made some kind of sense, and I hope you guys enjoyed that little strange conversation. So yeah, bye. Hello. I am cutting into this because it is the next day, and I just wanted to also include that I saw something, and it also was just like another reason to add to this, and that is that okay, so I was watching a Korean drama called My Demon, and in their latest episode that I was watching, he was like, you know, thinking about like, I have to, like, you know, fate brought us together again, only to like have this unfortunate event happen again. And, you know, he was like, in the beginning he was like, yeah, I can live forever and, like, you know, be with my girl. But after he had that dream, because he didn't remember who he was in his past life, after he had that dream, he was like, oh my god, like, us being together is gonna, like, put us in danger, is gonna put her in danger, and I don't want to risk that, I don't want to sacrifice that. And that's like the story of everything. And throughout the episode, he's like really distant and like really like, you know, shook and sad, because it's like, oh my god, like now he remembers who he was, and the sad story of his life in the past and her life, and how it is very, you know, similar to the life that this lifetime that they're living in now. And yeah, like he's just like blaming himself, like, oh my god, it's my fault, and like I guess trying to find, like, you know, a solution, or what. He's just really conflicted, because like he loves her so much, but he in a way can't be with her, or feels like he can't be with her, because he loves her too much that he doesn't want to sacrifice her. So he'd rather not, you know, like he's on the edge, he's on that line of like, what do? I don't know, I'm torn. And I was like, you know, on the couch like crying. I wasn't legit crying, but I was like on the verge of tears, like but anyways, she was like, she noticed that he was a little bit weird and off. And so she was like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on inside your brain? And he was like, oh my gosh, like, well, I had this dream, and not only was it about, like, you know, someone that I loved in the past, but, you know, it was sad, and, you know, people were peopling, and, you know, they sacrificed her because whatever. And, you know, he was mad at himself. And yeah, and so in the end he was like, that makes me scared, that makes me sad. And, you know, I don't want that to happen, because basically, like, their ups and downs have been basically that, where it's like, they're like sacrificing each other for each other. And yeah, it's just a lot. And, you know, he was like crying about it, and I was like, ah. And then she was also tearing up, because she was like, ugh, like how could you not, you know? And at first she reached her hand out to be like, you know, like, it's okay, like, I'm here with you. But he was like, you know, like, don't, I'm scared, don't touch me. Ah. But she was like, hey, you know, like, looking dead in his eyes. And she was like, I would be miserable, I would be sad, I would most likely even possibly be dead if I didn't have you in my life. So, you know, you think that, you know, you shouldn't be in my life, but either or, it would have been, you know, suck-ish. So she said that she might as well, like, they might as well just go through it together. Like, she'd rather have him by her side than, like, you know, have no one and have a sucky life. Then, you know, yeah. And then they were able to, like, hold hands, I think. And then they're just looking at each other in the eyes, like, and then it was like flashback to, like, his past life, where in his past life the girl was like, no, really, love doesn't save anyone. And his past self was like, no, I'll show you that love will save you in the end. And even if it's gonna be, like, you know, misery and stuff, like, in the end, it was all love. And yeah, and then that's when I was like, ding 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 ding, because, you know, humans, we we make mistakes. And yeah, we make mistakes. We sometimes are good at recognizing and, like, you know, going forward with that and trying to make things right. And that's where, like, you know, the good stuff happens. And then other times we, you know, make mistakes, and then we continue to make mistakes until we, like, finally learn our lesson. But it just reminded me that that is, like, the whole point of life, and that there are many ups and downs, and there is definitely moments, especially nowadays, where life does feel kind of like, you know, what else is gonna happen? A hole is just gonna, like, open up in the earth. So it can feel like that. But I feel like, I don't know, walking into it, instead of not feeling those feelings, but, like, once you get out of those feelings and just back into, like, okay, so where do we go from here? What can we do a little different and change with that mindset and attitude? Then it becomes a lot more beautiful in that sense. So, like, yeah. That's what I wanted to inject my ear and say. Yeah, so there are a lot of, like, I feel crazy, because I feel like, especially yesterday when I was doing or recording the podcast, and then after I finished recording, I was like, it's okay. And then afterwards I was like still very frustrated and annoyed with, like, around me and myself. But today I woke up a little bit more in a better mood, and also really tired, but just like, the waves have calmed down, and looking at things for what they are is like, okay, what can you do about it? Like, here are the things that I can control, here are the things that I can't control. And then just, like, I don't know, like reassuring myself and giving myself that grace and just like gentleness to be like, hey, you know, baby steps. It's okay. No need to be like, you know, hard on yourself and stuff. So, yeah. And yeah, saying that is like making me think about how, I don't know if it was in the movie Soul or if it was in I don't know if it was in something else, but it was I don't, maybe it was in something else. I think it was probably like on the internet as a collective, like the spiritual people, because basically we're babies and we have our moments, we have our tantrums, but then we can find joy again and we grow. So I feel like today I feel like, oh my God, I might be like, you know, bipolar or something, because I'm just like, but it's just a learning process. It's just like realizing, it's just, you know, turning things around. And that's just how life is. It is crazy. You think, you know, you're gonna have this one day and then you have something the next. So that is also like the fun of it, the miracle of it, whatever you want to call it. That is the journey, that is the game. Yeah. So I just thought that was so like funny and also like inspiring. Like, you know what, at the end of the day, we are all children. So yeah. Yep, that's what I wanted to say. So yeah, this podcast ended up being a little bit longer. I also don't know if I should continue with the little microphones or not, but I guess that depends on how I'm feeling that day. But bye, for real, for real.